so that's cool. I wanted to start off by saying I actually wasn't going to mention this at all, but since Roger's also talked about bleeding blue, as many of you know, I also bleed blue. It just happens to be maize and blue for the University of Michigan. So, thank you. So I have to be playing today. If you want to shout out any updates about what the score is of the game, that would be totally appropriate. I'm going to try to keep this around 5 minutes. That was what I was told I should be at. For those who know me, that's a little bit of a challenge for me always. So the professional world is full of acronyms. NGOs, PPOs, HMOs, LLCs. Media companies also like to keep it short. ABC, NBC, CBS, BBC, TLC, CNN, HDTV, and of course my favorite, ESPN. The so-called Gen Y, or the millennials, have a language of their own. LOL, BRB, TTYL, JK, BFF. And then, of course, there are the equations. E equals MC squared, Y equals MX plus B, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I'm sure many of you right now are saying, when is he going to talk about this program? But there's many more equations just like that, some that we've just memorized just for a test, and then, of course, promptly forgot. So, you know who you are, those people that have forgotten those equations. But today, the one equation I want to talk about in the next 4 minutes and 13 seconds is the following. P equals MBA. If you haven't heard this equation before, it's a simple one. The P stands for pass, and the MBA stands for Masters of Beer Administration at Brits. That was the dramatic pause for laughter, thank you. Of course, I'm just kidding. I just want to see if anybody's paying attention, which it sounds like a few of you in the front row were, at least, thank you. I really meant Masters, of course, of Business Administration. So back to the equation. P equals MBA. Again, the P, as we know, stands for pass. In other words, all you need to do to earn your MBA is to pass. I, for one, certainly earned my fair share of P's over the past 2 years. But I was under the impression this acronym was really just for the MBA program. But my wife told me that it actually is the same for medical school and other professional schools. Simply replace the MBA with an MD, PhD, etc. It's kind of scary if you think about it. However, you might be nervous right now at this point, and Holly. No, however, my intention is not to paint a bleak picture or to focus on mediocrity. I do have good news for the current and future employers of this 2009 graduating MBA class. All of us are a motivated, competitive bunch of people who've really worked our tails off over our entire careers and especially over the last 2 years. After all, we all chose to be here. We chose to dedicate 20 plus hours per week to think, talk, and breathe business. We chose to invest tens of thousands of dollars. We chose to have dinner with 67 of our closest colleagues, a professor, and every once in a while, a random undergrad. Again, I digress. Back to the equation. P equals MBA. This won't come as a surprise to those that know me, but of course, I'm going to mix things up a little bit. I don't really believe the P stands for pass at all. So officially, right now, Saturday, September 26th, I'm going to be changing this equation. The P now stands for people. People equal MBA. Again, people, all of you, equal MBA. So now, of course, I have less than 3 minutes to convince you that this new equation actually makes sense. So what I did was I asked several of my classmates and as well as a few professors to complete the following 3 sentences. The first one is, now that I have my MBA, I plan on. Second question, my favorite MBA-related moment was. And third, if I had to do it all over again, I would. The theme, of course, was not about passing classes. It was about people. So I'm going to share some of my favorite replies, and there's a lot that I had to actually take out that were probably not appropriate for this group and maybe the group behind them. but maybe not for the rest of you. So the first one was, now that I have my MBA, I plan on keeping in touch with the faculty who remain at McCall. That actually came from Tim Flood. Now that I have my MBA, I plan on sharing my story with young ladies to encourage them to overcome their fears and pursue their dreams. That was Mary McDonald. Now that I have my MBA, I plan on focusing on networking and more networking. I know you're thinking, but no, actually, that was Drew O'Quinn. My favorite MBA-related moment was Derek's delivery of his speech in the New Leader speech, again about people, Carrie Bennington. My favorite MBA-related moment was the minute I realized that the MBA wasn't about a piece of paper, but about developing relationships with people of diverse backgrounds, cultures, and experiences with the same interests, dreams, and drive as me. Again, that was Mary McDonald. One of my personal favorites. My favorite MBA-related moment was and this was in quotes, networking at Bricks, Joel Eskin. If I had to do it all over again, I would strive to make personal connections with more classmates earlier. That was David Prince. If I had to do it all over again, I would have gotten to know more of my classmates on a personal level. Evening classes were tough for an old married guy with kids. All I wanted to do at the end of the night was go home. Steve Petaway. And finally, again, Mary McDonald. She wins the prize for getting all three of them into the speech. If I had to do it all over again, I would. And hopefully you've heard throughout all of those, they're all have a focus on people, not about passing classes, all about people. So the last 2 years would not have been nearly as rich and fulfilling of an experience without the people associated with Kenan-Flagler Business School. This includes, of course, the staff, the faculty, the students, the partners, or significant others as I call them, the family members, the alumni, the guest speakers, and again, occasionally that random person that will come into class. So the natural question is, and I'm sure you're all asking yourselves right now, which of these groups of people is the most important? And the answer is?
Yes.
All of them, right? You. So now that we all have our MBAs, well, I think we have our MBAs now, we have more time, free time to spend with family. We don't have to worry about Joey B. waking us up at 2 in the morning, or Alan Levy talking about the null hypothesis. But remember the following, the P part of that equation, the people will still be here. So my challenge to you is to continue to use that powerful network. The people and the network that you've grown over the past few years, and in fact over your entire life. Continue to connect and to build relationships with the people that you've met. It's all about the people. So thank you, every single one of you, next to you, behind you. Thank you, the people. Now it's time to celebrate that Masters of Beer Administration.